Hello everyone, today I'm going to make a simple chili con carne. Now the items I have here are, you'll need a big pan, wooden spoon, a jug, I have a family pack of lean mince. Now you can either buy the chili con carne mix that's already done in a packet, or you can make your own up. If you want to make your own up, you will need garlic granules, paprika, oregano, some salt, white pepper, some cayenne chili, and you might also like some crushed chili, just depending on the heat level that you would like. I also have a tin of red kidney beans. Now some of the kidney beans, they come already in the chili sauce, and this one's a mild one. You can get the kidney beans without the sauce, it's entirely up to you. Some chopped tomatoes, onion, a pepper. Now I've got some corn flour, and I tend to use corn flour quite a lot in my cooking. If you want things to be with a bit more sauce, I use the corn flour as a sort of thickening agent. And then you'll also need some oil. I've got sunflower oil here, but just use the oil that you would prefer. So first of all, we're going to chop up our onion and our pepper. I left out the ground cumin if you're going to make your own mixture up, but I've actually run out, so I think it's a good job I had this packet spare. Right, I have my saucepan here. I'm just going to turn the gas on. Just put that sort of on a medium low. I'll let that heat up, and then I'm going to grab my sunflower oil. I'm going to put about 1 small tablespoon in, but you can see it go in, so about that much. You just let the pan heat up. I have my chopped onion and my chopped peppers ready, and I also have my mince, so just make sure all those items are ready. Look. Swish the oil around at the bottom of the pan. We'll just let that heat through a little. And then we're going to add the onions. Just pour that in. Now you can use a white onion if you prefer. I've just chosen to use a red. Just give it a quick swish around. And we'll just let that cook a little. And once the onions have softened up a bit, we'll add the pepper. So the onions have been cooking for a few minutes, as you can see, all covered in oil, and they're started to soften up, so I'm going to add my peppers. So I'll just pour that in. And then we'll just let that cook down for about 2 minutes. Right, everything's coming together. That's actually been cooking for about 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. And now I'm going to add the meat. So I'll just make a little well in the middle, and then I'm just going to get the mince and pop it in clumps, little lumps. Pop that in, break it up a bit, pop it in. This is 500 grams of mince, lean mince going in. Oops, bit of paper in there. There we go. Just wash my hands. Please remember to wash your hands when you've been handling raw meat. That's really important. Just give it a little gentle mix. Leave that to cook. Don't play with it too much because you want the meat to actually cook. There we go. Now I'm going to pour my seasoning in once the meat is cooked. So we'll just wait for the meat to cook. Make sure, at the moment you can see all the raw pieces of meat. You want all of this to go brown. So just be patient, let it cook gently and give it a stir now and again until it goes brown. You can turn up the gas a little as well. So let's turn it up a little, just a little notch. There. As you can see, the meat has gone brown. Can you see that? So now what we're going to do is we're going to add a packet of seasoning now. Let's pour this in. Now I only had a little bit of this left, so what I'm going to do is just give that a stir in. And then I'm going to add actually some extra crushed chilli. I'll sprinkle some of those in. And also a little bit of white pepper going in. And some smoked paprika going in. Just give that a stir. Now I'm going to add the red kidney beans. Now this comes from the actual sauce. I'll pour that in. I'm just going to turn the gas down because there's not much liquid in the saucepan. That's why it's making that noise. So I've poured the tin of kidney beans that come in the chilli sauce. If you're getting plain kidney beans, please drain them off first and then pop them in. So again, another stir. There we go. And then we're going to add a tin of chopped tomatoes. So we pour that in. And give this a stir. And then I'm going to grab my, now you can't, this is up to you, you can leave this out, but I like it quite tomatoey, so I'm going to squeeze about a tablespoon of tomato puree going in and give it another stir. Now if this consistency is okay for you, then you can leave it at this point and let it just simmer. But I like it a little bit with a bit more sauce. So I'm going to add 200 ml of hot water in there. I'll just pour in half and give it a stir. Just add a bit more. So that looks about right to me. As you can see, I'll just tip it so you can see. So actually I've put 150 ml in. Now I'm going to just push all the ingredients that's on the side into the saucepan. And on a low heat, I'm just going to let this simmer. Occasionally stir, so make sure you keep an eye on it so it doesn't stick at the bottom. I'll pop a lid on and we'll let it simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. So when you put the lid on, just leave it at a slight slant so there's a little gap, just to let the steam come out, and on a very low heat, and we'll just let that simmer for 15 to 20 minutes. It's been simmering for about 7 minutes. As you can see, all the juice has gone to the top, so let's give it a stir. And do press down right to the bottom of the pan, but sometimes you can feel the mixture sticking. So just give it a good stir. Push all the ingredients back down and then pop the lid on. Now if you feel that your mixture is too runny, just pop 2 heaped teaspoons of corn flour. This gets quite messy because it tends to go everywhere. Into a small cup, and then we're going to add a little bit of water, cold water, into the mix. Some cold water into here. So just pop a little bit in there. Don't know if you can see that, just to the end. And we're just going to mix that together. If you've never come across corn flour, it may feel a little bit weird because it does firm up if you leave it to sit. So we just give that a stir, and we can use that in a little while to thicken up with. Now this is great for sauces if you want it to thicken up, but it only thickens up when it reaches boiling point. So some people, they'll keep putting more and more of this mixture into the dish and then realise when it reaches boiling point it's gone really too thick. So you have to be patient and make sure it reaches boiling point. Now I've just actually tried some and I like it with a bit more garlic taste to it, so I'm going to put some garlic. If you have fresh garlic, perfect, but I'm just going to add some garlic granules to make it a bit more garlicky. Mix that in. Now if you find it's bubbling too much, just turn the gas down a little more. Put the lid on. Right, now it's been 15 minutes, and as you can see it's bubbling away. So let's give it a stir. Right, so you might like it this consistency, but I'm just going to thicken it up a little bit just to show you how to use the corn flour mix. So our corn flour mix that we've done, we just need to give that another stir, and then we get a teaspoon and we just pop it round, another teaspoon, pop it round, and then we stir that in. And then let it bubble again, because that's when it will work. and that's when you'll know the true thickness of the mixture. So that's all I need in the mixture. That's the consistency I'm looking for. Obviously you may need more corn flour mix if you put a lot of water into the mixture. So you may need more than a couple of spoons. You might need 3 heaped spoons of corn flour. But just as I say, put it in a spoon at a time and give it a mix, and then just look at the consistency. But it has to bubble, start bubbling and simmering again before you will know the true consistency. Don't keep putting more and more in, because you might end up with it being super thick. So there we are, there's the chili con carne. I'm going to turn the gas off and just pop the lid on. Now you can serve that straight away, or you may wish to leave it to cool and maybe heat it again later when your kids come home or your family are home. And then you can also tub it into little tubs. You could put some in the freezer, you might put some in the fridge for the next day. So it's really versatile. Just a quick little note, when washing up, if you're not fortunate to have this little middle sink here, before you fill up the sink, it's a good idea to rinse all these tins of its juices. Just a quick rinse, because otherwise all of this is going into your washing up water, and it's not very nice. So just give it a quick rinse before you actually wash up. So the messy things, give a quick rinse before you wash it up. And when you're washing with liquid, always rinse the items, because otherwise it's just all this liquid sitting on your clean items. So when you pour a cup of tea, your cups will be completely covered in liquid, and we don't want to be drinking those chemicals. Right, now I'm going to show you how to cook some rice. Now, there are lots of different ways to cook rice. It just depends on your preference. On this packet of rice, these are the instructions. So it says, allow 60 grams of rice per person. Place the rice in a sieve and rinse under cold running water. Put in a large pan of boiling water, add salt as desired. Stir once, cover and simmer for 10 to 12 minutes. Drain well, fluff through the grains with a fork and serve. Now those are the instructions on this rice container. However, I tend to cook it a different way, and it's just the way that I've been taught. So it's entirely up to you. They'll normally have instructions on a packet of rice, but this is the way that I would cook it in a saucepan. So let's begin. So here's my saucepan, nothing in it. I'm going to allow 80 grams of rice per person, just because we love rice. So let's put in the quantity that we need. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the cold water into the saucepan. Then I'm going to fill the saucepan with the water, and then I'm just going to swish the rice around with my fingers. And you can see the water turning a different colour. So it's gone sort of like a sort of milky colour. Then what I'll do is I will tip this water out very carefully. Try not to lose any rice. And then I will refill again. You can see the water still milky, looking cloudy. So then I'll tip again. Swoosh, use my fingers. One more time, I think it'll be okay. And pour that out. So you can see the water has become much more clearer, and that's what we're looking for. Now, the amount of water that you need to leave in the pan once you've washed your rice is you put your middle finger on top of the rice, so it touches the top of the rice, and you want the water to this first knuckle bit here. So the tip of your finger touching the rice, you want the water to that first knuckle. Let's put the gas on, put the pan on, and I don't actually put any salt in. It's just plain rice and water, and then we just put the lid on a slant like that. And we let that come to boiling point, so it's bubbling away, and then we turn the gas down and just let it simmer. Right, it's been 8 minutes. Now it's beginning to bubble away, as you can see. What we want to do is we want to turn the gas right down to the lowest setting. And then we're going to pop the lid on at a slant, and then we're just going to leave it to finish bubbling away. Now it has been simmering, it had the lid on, it has been simmering for 5 minutes. And as you can see where the air's coming out, and also if you listen, you can hear it still simmering. So that obviously there's still liquid at the bottom. So this is the point where you really need to pay full attention to the rice. So I can still hear it bubbling, so I'm just going to, and you can see the bubbles still at the top, so the water's still coming up. I'll put that back on, and then I'm going to give it a few more minutes. But you will hear in the saucepan the bubbling. When that disappears, that's what we're waiting for. Now, if you're not sure what you're looking for, what you can do is get a fork and just make a little tiny hole in the middle, and then you can physically see if there's a bit more liquid at the bottom or not. It's nearly completely disappeared. I'm going to leave that on there and give it a couple more minutes. Now I can't hear any bubbling, so I'm going to turn the gas off. And then this, to me, is when the rice is ready. So now you can either break it up, loosen it up, or you can leave it as it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just leave it as it is to let it dry out a little bit more. And then I'll just dish that up.